Hey guys, Varanice here with the new auto chest patch notes. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on these changes. So up first, we have our first buff. Mage 9 is having its freeze duration increased. So previously you needed to do 400 damage to get a 1-second freeze, and now you'll only need 350 damage. Another way of putting this is that your freeze will effectively be 14% longer than before this. Overall, I think this is a pretty good change for 9 Mage. I think this will probably help Warpwood and Swordman lock things down more consistently. Sources of continuous damage reoccurring, probably where you're going to see the biggest difference on things like this. Tortola already kind of generally kills things in one shot most of the time anyway, so I don't think freezing for an extra quarter second is really going to make much of a difference there. Next we have a buff to 6 Feathered. 6 Feathered is having an additional 5% evasion chance across the board. 6 Feathered doesn't really see much play right now. Sometimes you'll see it if a player is looking to go into 9 Feathered and hasn't found wizards yet. But outside of that, I don't think it really sees too much play right now. I think that's more to do with the item changes in the previous patch than it is necessarily the strength of 6 Feathered. This seems like a reasonable change, but I don't think it really gets at the core issue of why this isn't seeing play, so I don't really suspect that'll change this. Third change here is Thunder Spirit is receiving an additional 25 minimum damage at 2-star and 50 damage at 3-star. So the way Thunder Spirit's skill works is it has a maximum damage and a minimum damage depending on how far out the thunder kind of aura thing is out. And it's a sliding scale. So by increasing the minimum damage when it hits at, say, the middle of the ring, it'll be doing slightly more damage there as well. I think this will help Thunder Spirit do a little bit more damage when you're frontlining it, particularly in builds like 9 Mage. I think they're trying to encourage additional Thunder Spirits being ran in 9 Mage maybe. And have them be frontline, so that seems reasonable. Fallen Witcher is gaining 10% attack speed across the board. Fallen Witcher isn't really seeing a lot of play in late game right now. I think that's mostly to do with the release of Redfox has kind of replaced it in a lot of builds right now in late game, most notably in 6 Beast. I don't know that this will really change that, but Fallen Witcher 3-star with a splitter is going to be a little bit more dangerous, I guess, now. Mania is getting an additional 10% attack speed, and when the attack speed buff is stacked, the duration of all layers will reset. I believe what this is referring to is the effect where when you deal a crit, you gain a stack of attack speed. So when you gain a new stack, it'll reset the cooldown on all of them. So if you have, say, an assassin with the item on it now, there's a decent chance where it just gains like, I don't know, 100, 200% attack speed and maintains it throughout the entire fight if you have reasonable luck with landing crits. So this could be a really spicy item, especially if you're having a fight that's going really long as assassins. Seems interesting. I think this helps the item a lot. I think this is a bigger buff than it looks maybe, but we'll have to see how much play it gets after this. So now we've gotten to the nerfs part of the patch notes, and we're starting off with Shaman 4, and I think this is probably the biggest change in the entire patch here. Shamans are having their transformation odds changed. Rather, the +1 cell cost is going from 40 to 80%, and the +2 cell cost is going from 60 to 20%. So basically what this means was most of the time you would get a +2 unit before 60-40, and now you're almost always going to get a +1 unit. This is a really huge change, because, for example, hitting a Scryer or a Scryer 2, you're no longer going to get a 2-star legendary or a 3-star legendary like almost every single time. I think this is going to really, really hurt Shaman builds. And I'm not sure how good things like Divhorn Shaman are going to be after this patch. And as a result of that, I'm suspecting that things like 9 Mage and 6 Agursis that really struggle in that matchup are probably going to be doing a lot better after this. Next, we've got a nerf to Redfox. Redfox is losing 15, 20, and 20 additional physical damage at all star ratings for its ultimate. I'm not sure that this change will really make much of a difference. It still is going to do an absolutely absurd amount of damage. I guess it's more likely now that your team won't get literally one-shot by the ult, but I still expect it'll do like completely devastating amounts of damage in things like 6 Beast and 6 Agursis. Maybe this helps with making Redfox insects a little bit less absurd. Not really sure, but hopefully this helps, but I'm not too optimistic that this is going to be enough of a nerf. Next, we have a change to Swordman. Swordman is losing 10, 20, and 30 damage to its ult damage per second, and is losing a grid off of its ultimate. I think this is another very, very significant change. I don't know that this will necessarily impact its use in the early game. I think Swordman 2 early is probably still going to be pretty strong, but it probably won't be able to carry you through to like rounds like 16 to 20. It could for a very long time, honestly. But the other thing I think that's really significant, given how many changes we've seen to how 9 Mage will probably be played, I don't know that you can really rely on Swordman to just entirely lock down enemy compositions that are like very heavy on melee units. So things like 9 Warrior. You're probably not going to be able to rely on Swordman just shutting everything down for 5 seconds anymore, because you can't place a unit adjacent to it to cover for it anymore and still hit everything around it. You'll only be able to hit 3 units if you play it in a line. So you might have to put your tank items on Swordman instead of Warpwood or something like that and have that be your main tank, but I think Swordman is going to be a lot less strong in 9 Mage after this. Shadow Edge is having its pure damage range adjusted. I read the full patch notes, and basically currently Shadow Edge does its cleave in a 1-tile radius including diagonals, and it will no longer be doing that. So it'll just be the 4 adjacent tiles. I haven't seen anything in the patch notes about Axe of Fury, so I believe this change is only affecting Shadow Edge. So Shadow Edge will be hitting half as many tiles now, which is a pretty huge change, and that will only emphasize more how strong Axe of Fury is on certain units right now, like Redfox. So yeah, I think a lot of melee carries are already struggling with the loss of the attack speed on Frantic Mask, and spamming Shadow Edge was really the best option now, and they're kind of nerfing that too, so I'm not really sure what items they want to see people building on melee carries, but we'll have to figure that out, I guess. So yeah, that was it. If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.